And when we left off last time, we were talking about all the different kinds of light from the smallest wavelength to the longest wavelength, okay? And we covered visible light, infrared light, and microwave light. And remember, let me kind of zoom in here. We're increasing in wavelength as we go to the right on this page, all right? So there's one longer category than the ones we talked about last time, and it's the catch-all for anything longer than 10 centimeters. Anything longer than 10 centimeters is called radio. And you probably have heard of radio, okay? You probably have heard of radio in the radio. So here's my question about it. Is radio a type of sound wave? Yes or no? Is radio a type of sound wave? Yes or no? So we got an even split here. No, it's not, okay? Because remember, what are we listing here? Up here, we're listing types of what? What are all of these things? They're all types of what? Yeah, these are all types of light. They're all types of light waves, okay? So visible light is a type of light, infrared is a type of light, microwave is a type of light, so radio is also a type of light, okay? So technically, because everybody is familiar with radio in the radio, a lot of people will associate radio with the sound that comes out of the radio, but that sound that comes out has nothing to do with actual radio light, right? Do any of you guys know where the radio light is involved in the radio? Where is the radio light coming into this? Why do we call radio radio if the sound's not radio? It's the signal, right? It's the signal. So if you want to pick up something with your radio, okay, like let's say this is your radio right here. It's like a boombox or something. You have an antenna on it. And somewhere else, there's a radio tower, right, at a station or something. And what they're doing is they have something they want to send you, like a song or some news or some other kind of audio recording. And so what they do is they send out radio waves in all directions that are coming out in sort of a coded pattern, okay? Just like you can encode words in Morse code, where you know by a pattern of beeps you can have someone who understands Morse code decode that into a word. Kind of similar to that, they're sending out a pattern of a pattern of radio that corresponds to whatever they're trying to send you, right? And if your radio is nearby, when some of that radio light hits it, it will decode that signal into whatever they were trying to send, okay? So the radio light that's traveling through the air from the antenna over here to your antenna, that's the actual radio part of radio, okay? The sound that comes out of the radio is just what they encoded on the beam of light, not the actual radio. Okay. Yeah, so technically, somebody's asking, is this a fancy decoder? Essentially, yes. The thing you're listening to is a decoder. In fact, it's actually called a radio receiver. That's like the full name for it. Just nobody really calls it that anymore. But if you look back, you know, like in old-timey movies from like the 50s, sometimes you'll hear somebody say radio receiver. But yeah, so it's a decoder. Okay. Now, this is not the only thing that uses that to communicate. What's something else that also uses radio light to send signals? What's something else other than like a radio receiver? Here's a hint. Okay, a walkie-talkie. A walkie-talkie could use radio, yes. TVs do. And walkie-talkie is kind of close to what I was hoping somebody would mention. Satellites. Satellites can use a combination of radio and microwave as their communication signals, yeah. What are we typically using? What are you using, like, every day to communicate with those satellites? Phones, right? Cell phones, right? So all of those things use a combination of radio and microwaves to communicate. Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi is actually, I think Wi-Fi, don't quote me on this, but I think Wi-Fi is usually in the microwave range, not full on in the radio range, but it's somewhere in there. Oh, and don't worry. A lot of times when people hear that their cell phones use partially microwaves to communicate, they're really afraid that it's going to cook their head, okay? But remember, most microwaves are not dangerous because they're low energy, right? Are the cell phone companies going to pick that one wavelength in the microwave range that cooks water to be the one that they communicate to you with? Is that the one they're going to pick? I'm not even going to, you don't even have to answer that. No, they're not going to pick that one wavelength that cooks water because then they would be cooking their, I mean, they don't want to cook their customers or anything, right? So they're not going to pick the one that cooks food. Remember, the rest of microwave is not super dangerous because it's such low energy, right? Yeah, they need your money, right? Now, with that in mind, radio. Is radio light dangerous? Is radio light dangerous? Yes or no? In general, is radio light dangerous? No. And why not? Why would radio in general be low danger? Why would this be a low danger kind of light over here? What about it makes it low danger? Low energy. That's correct. Always remember your 3 L's. Long wavelengths mean low frequencies and low energies. So if the energy of radio was enough to be dangerous, then all of these would be way more dangerous, right? Visible light would be the most dangerous out of all these in equal amounts, right? So yeah, and also that's a really good thing because radio towers are everywhere, right? Satellites are everywhere. You're spending your entire life being bathed in radio light, right? Anywhere that you can turn on a cell phone and it works, or a radio and it works, you've got radio light going through you already, basically. So it's a good thing that it's not dangerous because your entire life has been in radio.